Today is the 5th of June 2019. A very good afternoon. This is Lunchtime News on TV1. We are coming to you live and direct from the Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. I'm Kumar Singh. Just before we start off, let's take a look at your headlines this afternoon.
A meeting of the chief prelates of the three chapters regarding the current situation in the country. World Health Organization says 4,300 people die annually in Sri Lanka as a result of air pollution. Chandika Haturusinghe speaks about last night's World Cup match.
On to your top story this afternoon. Now, a special meeting was held between the representatives Theros of the chief prelates of the three chapters. The meeting was held at the official Aramaya of the Asgiri temple. Anamadwe Dhammadasi Thera, the deputy chief prelate of the Asgiri chapter, said that the meeting was held to discuss the current situation in the country. The Anunayak of the Asgiri chapter stated that they will hold a media briefing later in the day. The world marks the Environment Day today under the theme Beat Air Pollution. According to the World Health Organization, now 4,300 people in Sri Lanka die every year due to air pollution. According to the data of the World Health Organization, more than 3 million people around the world die from air pollution annually. The data further indicates that more than 3 billion people across the globe suffer due to the pollution of air. Sri Lanka will celebrate World Environment Day today under the auspices of President Maithripala Sirisena. According to the Central Environmental Authority, 60% of the air pollution that occurs in Sri Lanka is due to the exhaust gas produced by vehicles. According to an official at the authority, 10% of the air pollution is due to chemicals discharged from the industry sector. Indoor air pollution owns 8%. The Central Environmental Authority further added that new regulations will be introduced to reduce air pollution caused by factories. Many parts of the island celebrated the World Environment Day today. A program to plant trees was held today at the St. Clair's Reserve in Nuwara, presided by Nuwara District Secretary Rohan Pushpakumara. A ceremony to distribute 1,000 plants to various areas in Colombo was held at the Vihara Mahadevi Park today. Mayor of Colombo, Rosisena Naik, participated in this event. Now, concerns were raised now and again over the irreversible damage caused to the environment by the ongoing construction of the Central Expressway. This report highlights the implications caused by the environmental degradation and the effects of it suffered by the residents of Mallavaya, Kurunegala.
An age-old water catchment area that falls under the purview of the Mallavapetiya Divisional Secretariat in the Kurunegala district is on the verge of destruction. Caused by the levelling of mountainous regions in the area to make way for the Central Expressway, the destruction began about 1.5 years ago. Today, the people in the area are experiencing first-hand the adverse effects of this. The Maguru Oya, which is among the main sources of water that nourishes the Deduru Oya, begins from this mountainous region. Of the streams that would have covered much of the area before, this is what remains. Residents of areas including Thalampitiya, Mahagama, Kubumbua, Bulugolla and Kohilegedara are already suffering with a lack of drinking water, an issue that has never in the past affected the region, the adverse effects of levelling this mountainous region.
There is no water at all. We have to travel about 1.6 to over 2 kilometers to bring water in the three-wheelers.
Against a backdrop where people have no water for their consumption, farmers' ambitions of watering their crops has been reduced to a mere dream. We cannot work in this part of the paddy field. They have dug up a ditch in the main water catchment area and are sending water for a field from one side and pulling out water to be sprayed on the road from the other side twice a day. This is a serious crime. On one hand, it is the forest reserve. 300 meters away you have the Vava. When all of these trees are cleared out, the people do not have water. The divisional secretaries and Grama Seva officers are responsible for this.
Islam devotees across the world will celebrate Eid ul-Fitr or Ramadan today. According to the Islam calendar, crescent for the month of Shawwal was sighted last night, and the Colombo Grand Mosque announced that Ramadan will be celebrated today. Islam devotees prepared themselves by fasting for a month prior to the celebrations. Religious observances were held at the Davatagaha Mosque in Colombo in line with the Ramadan festival. Religious observances were also held at the Grand Mosque in Colombo this morning. Meanwhile, President Maithripala Sirisena in his Ramadan message says, quote, "My expectation is that all of you pray for a future that can make us join hands together as brothers, dispelling the darkness and disarray of misery and mistrust," unquote. The message further read, quote, "The common string of humanity is such further than the religious followings. Any form of religion that teaches the respect, the greatness of humanity will not mislead the followers to get detached from the humankind. Islam is that kind of a religion," unquote. On to top political stories this afternoon. A special meeting was held yesterday between the opposition leader Mahinda Rajapaksa and the Rajarata Professional Experts Collective.
The meeting was held at the official residence in Vijayarama. The Professionals Collective presented a proposal consisting of 12 points. The proposal was handed over to the opposition leader yesterday. Government officials, university lecturers, professors and professionals representing various fields contributed to the process of formulating the proposals.
In more political news now, the Frontline Socialist Party held a seminar in Kandy yesterday under the theme Extremism, Imperialism and State Repression. The party's Politburo member Duminder Nagamu expressed these views at the event.
There was a resolution passed at the UN General Assembly regarding the Diego Garcia Islands. It is a group of islands in the Indian Ocean where the forces of the United States and Britain are stationed for the missions in the region. Flights for the missions in Syria took off from these islands. The UN resolution that was approved was for the removal of these bases maintained by these countries. 116 countries voted for the bases to be removed. There were only 6 countries that supported the continued existence of these bases. 45 abstained from voting. So this resolution was passed with a massive majority. Now the United States are looking for a port to dock their ships. So the influence to ink the SOFA agreement has increased. On one hand, we took loans from China for almost everything in our country during the past. China has granted loans like this to 64 other countries. 16 countries of them have already been thrown into an economic crisis. Sri Lanka is among those 16 countries. When the Hambantota port is given to the Chinese, the eastern terminal of the Colombo port given to the Indians and the Japanese, and the Trincomalee harbour is given to the Americans, and American troops are allowed into the country, what will happen to this country? These conspiracies are being discussed in broad daylight. These people are directing the attention of the people to 1 or 2 issues and are focusing on their election campaign.
It has been 3 years since the explosion at the Sala Armory took place. The people who were affected still claim that the authorities have not taken steps to resolve the problems faced by the people.
The explosion in Salava took place on the 5th of June 2016. 1 person was killed and 48 others were injured as a result of the incident. 300 buildings in the area were destroyed and the Sri Lanka Army took steps to reconstruct the buildings. Chandana Suryarachi, the convener of the Society of People who were affected by the incident, claims that the government is yet to make compensation payments to the people whose property were damaged.
On to international stories this afternoon. US President Donald Trump had said the United States and the United Kingdom have, quote, the greatest alliance the world has ever known, unquote.
In a news conference with Theresa May, he promised a phenomenal trade deal after the UK leaves the European Union, but added that everything is on the table, including the NHS. May said the scope of trade talks had to be agreed by both countries. Trump also said he turned down a meeting with Jeremy Corbyn, who addressed protesters in Westminster. The US President met Brexit Party leader Nigel Farage at the US Ambassador's residence Winfield House on the second day of his 3-day state visit to the UK. Farage tweeted that it was a good meeting and Trump really believes in Brexit.
According to Senate Democrats, the Trump administration approved the transfer of nuclear energy information to Saudi Arabia on 2 occasions after the slaying of Saudi dissident Jamal Khashoggi by agents of the kingdom. The administration granted the first approval in question on October 18, 2018, 16 days after the killing of the Washington Post columnist and Virginia resident at the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. The second authorization was granted on the 18th of February 2019, 3 months after the CIA reportedly concluded that Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman ordered Khashoggi's death. The information first shared by Kane in the press release came from documents provided by the Department of Energy to the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Senator James Risch R. Idaho, the committee's chairman, sought information about 7 so-called Part 810 authorizations granted to U.S. firms to share nuclear energy information with Saudi Arabia beginning on the 13th of December 2017. In particular, congressional Democrats and Republicans alike wanted to know whether the administration continued to grant Part 810 authorizations for information sharing with Saudi Arabia after Khashoggi's slaying. The Department of Energy, which approves Part 810 authorizations along with the State Department, did not immediately return a request for comment. A foreign relations aide for Risch could not immediately be reached to confirm the contents of the letter. Still in international news, Australian police have raided the headquarters of the country's public broadcaster, ABC.
ABC said police arrived with search warrants naming 2 journalists and news director Gavin Morris. According to the ABC, the raid is over an investigative story into misconduct by Australian forces in Afghanistan. The raid comes one day after police searched the home of a News Corp journalist over the alleged leak of classified information. ABC journalists have been tweeting about the events since police arrived in the morning. According to the ABC, the search is about the 2017 investigative series known as the Afghan Files, which revealed allegations of unlawful killings and misconduct by Australian special forces in Afghanistan.
An Air India flight flying from Thiruvananthapuram to Sharjah was forced to return after one of its passengers suffered a cardiac arrest on Tuesday. Sources said aircraft personnel followed all the prescribed medicinal emergency procedures, but the person could not be saved. The passenger was declared dead after an Air India flight AI967 landed. The head coach of the Sri Lanka cricket team, Chandika Hathurusinghe, says the last night's victory against Afghanistan will boost the confidence of the Sri Lankan players. He expressed the following views at a post-match media briefing yesterday.
I think this victory was much needed. It is essential that we won this match as a team to bring the talent in the team out. Because when we were losing matches, everyone was under pressure. So I think that we will be able to develop a lot mentally through this victory. Both of these pitches that we played on were not ideal for ODI matches. They were very hard pitches to play on. The other grounds that matches were played on were quite different. About 350 runs were scored at these matches. So these pitches are different. And in both of our matches, we lost the toss and had to bat first. So that was also one of the reasons. I think that in the future, when we get a good pitch, with this victory, Angelo Matthews and Mendes will score well. We are satisfied of the batting performance of certain players. I think some of the other batsmen should have performed better. They should have taken better decisions. If they took better decisions, they could have performed better even in this sort of a pitch.
වෙනස් කරගන්න තිබුණා නම් ඊට වඩා ඒගොල්ලන්ට දක්ෂතාවයක් මේ තරම් තනනිල්ලෙත් කරන්න පුළුවන් වුණා කියලා මම.
And with that note, it's a wrap of lunchtime news for today. And for a comprehensive report on all these stories and many more, you can log on to our website. That is www.newsfirst.lk. I'm Tarusha Kumar Singha. Your latest news update will come your way at 1:55. Until then, take care.